The yard siren screamed, so loud it felt like it cracked the sky. Men froze mid-step. Guards on the towers lifted rifles and pointed red beams at the dirt. Somewhere near the pull-up bars in Echo Yard, two groups were facing off in the Arizona sun, eyes hard, hands clenched. I smelled dust, sweat, and hot metal. A voice on the loudspeaker shouted, "Down! Everybody down!" I dropped to my knees with my hands on my head. The ground burned through my pants. The heat was like a wall. The tower lights swept over us, slow and steady, stopping for a half-second on my face, then moving on. I kept my eyes low, my breath small. I knew what came next if anyone moved. I knew because I had seen it before. Then I heard it. Not the siren, not the guard's voice, a single wrong sound in that sun-baked silence, a metal clank, like a weight hitting the fence. People around me flinched. A shadow ran where everyone else was flat. The red beam locked onto him. Another shape broke from the crowd. The air changed. You could feel it, like the second before a storm hits. My heart tried to punch out my chest. Someone to my left whispered, "It's on." And I had one thought, the thought that kept me alive in Arizona prisons. Do not be the next mistake. What happened next is why I'm here telling you this story. It's why I can say surviving and mean it. But to understand that moment, we have to go back to the day I rolled through the gates and learned how fast a person can disappear in a heat. Earlier, my name is Alex Carter, and I left prison 5 years ago. Before that, I did 6 years in Arizona for a robbery I thought would be easy and fast. Nothing in my life was easy or fast after that. When you first come in, you think the walls are the problem. You learn quick. The walls are the easy part. The heat is worse. The rules you can't see are worse than the rules they post. The first thing you smell is bleach. The second thing you smell is old air. Intake is where they turn you into a number. Shoes off, hands on the table. Open your mouth, lift your tongue, spread your fingers, roll them on glass, watch your prints bloom on a screen like gray flowers. They strip you of your belt, your shoelaces, your old name. You get a bag with state greens and a pair of boots that never fit right. A CO with tired eyes writes your housing on a slip like it's weather, and he's just reading out loud. My first cell was in a unit that baked all day. The window was the size of a cereal box. The fan rattled like a coin in a can. My cellie Nate had a scar through his eyebrow and a smile that didn't last long. "You knew?" he asked. "Yeah." "You breathe quiet?" "I can try." "Good," he said. "I like quiet." That first night, I learned the sound of doors. Day room doors click, sharp and quick. Cell doors thunk, deep and final, like someone closing a vault. The sound gets into your bones. I stared at the ceiling and counted the thunks down the tier. A radio squawked. Boots passed. Somewhere, someone laughed at nothing. The heat pressed down like a hand. Morning came hot, because an Arizona morning is just night with more light. We hit chow. Eggs that tasted like smoke. Toast that crumbled like dust. Coffee so strong it could stand up by itself. A guard shouted, "Line moving." A guy at the end of the table said, "Let it move." I kept my eyes on my tray. Here's a thing no one tells you. Prisons are cities with their own traffic laws. You learn who stands where, who talks to who, and who doesn't talk at all. You learn the colors of the yards and what those colors mean. You learn that saying "my bad" doesn't fix anything if the person you bumped spilled milk on his shoes. You learn that the sun takes more from you than sleep gives back. And if you don't drink water like it's your job, you will hit the dirt. The first week, a CO named Ramirez pulled me aside on the way to laundry. "Carter," he said, "you want to live here, you do 3 things. 1, stay out of debt. 2, don't hold anything for anybody. 3, when I say down, you go down like the floor is a magnet. You understand me?" "Yes, sir." He snorted. "Don't sir me, just listen." Laundry meant steam and bleach and shirts by the 100. I folded until my fingers stung. Nate showed me a trick to keep the corners sharp. "They check these," he said. "If the card is sloppy, they look harder at us. If they look harder at us, they find stuff. If they find stuff, The whole pod pays. So fold. I folded. There were small mercies. The GED teacher, Mrs. Hill, spoke like she believed we had more in us than our numbers. You write better than your face lets on, she told me the second week. I wrote a paragraph about summer rain in Phoenix, how it smells like hot pavement turning into steam, and she put a gold sticker on it. I kept that paper under my mattress like a photograph. Then came the first lockdown. We were in the yard, and a shout snapped the air. A CO lifted his hand. Down! The yard flattened. The sun kept shining like it didn't care. After, they searched everything. Cells, socks, book spines, light fixtures. A man on the tier above me lost commissary for 30 days because the staff found a phone in a vent. He swore it wasn't his. Phones in prison are like ghosts. Everyone swears they see them, and no one wants to admit they touched them. Lockdown lasted 4 days. Meals came cold in brown sacks. The unit hummed like a beehive with the lid on. That's when you find out if you can be alone with your head. The worst noise is your own thoughts when they won't stop. I did push-ups until my elbows felt like rubber. I counted each one out loud. Nate said, "Save some for tomorrow." I said, "Tomorrow is just a day with better light." He grunted like that made sense. On the 5th day, they popped us for showers. 5 minutes. Move quick. Don't talk. In the shower row, I met a guy named DeAndre with tired eyes and a laugh that came out sideways. "Where you from?" he asked. "Glendale." "First rodeo," he said. "Feels like it." "You'll be fine," he said. "Keep your words short. Keep your hands open. Don't owe nobody. Drink water. And if you see a crowd form faster than you can think, walk the other way. Only fish swim toward splashing." In Arizona, water is everything. The yard had a fountain that spit heat the color of tea. Guys cupped it with their hands and poured it on their heads. The towers watched us like we were ants under glass. Some afternoons, they canceled yard because the wind shoved dust hard enough to fill your nose with grit. You'd look up, and the sky would be the color of a paper bag. The first true scare came in the kitchen. I'd pulled a shift to shave time off a disciplinary write-up. Too many words to CO when I should have kept them in my mouth. Kitchen work means knives chained to tables. It means hot oil and a floor that never dries. It also means better smells than bleach, onions, garlic, broth. We were plating trays when 2 guys started shoving near the back door. It looked small, like words with elbows added. Then someone bumped a rack. The rack hit the wall. A pan slid. Grease kissed a flame under a burner, and a line of fire walked at the back of the stove. A CO slammed the extinguisher into it. Foam covered everything like snow that smelled like old pennies. "Out!" he yelled. We left sticky footprints back to the unit. Later that night, the whole pod smelled like fake winter. Small things kept me moving. Mail day. A picture from my sister, Lauren, of her new puppy with one ear up, one ear down. A Bible verse from my aunt stuck to an index card with tape. A joke from DeAndre that made me spit water on my tray. "What's the difference between chow meat and my shoe?" "What?" One has flavor, the other fits. But the tension never left. You feel it even on quiet days, like a cord pulled tight across your chest. You learn to read weather that isn't in the sky. Is the TV volume up? Did the domino game stop faster than usual? Are people hugging the shade more than normal? Do you see the man in the corner who never stand there? In prison, peace is a hallway with a door at each end. It looks open until it closes. And then the yard day came. The day I started with, it was Saturday. Morning chow was oatmeal that stuck to your spoon and apples that fought your teeth. The COs posted full yard on the whiteboard, which meant we got both the track and the weight pile. Sun already high. Shirt stuck to backs. The pull-up bars burned your hands. I walked with DeAndre 3 slow laps. "You look tired," he said. "I'm always tired," I said. "You'll miss this when you get out," he said, half smiling. "What, the heat?" "The simple math," he said. "In here, do this, don't do that. Out there, the math has more letters." We were by the far fence when the energy shifted. It's hard to explain if you haven't felt it. It's like the air gets sharp. A group near the tables stood at the same time. A different group near the bars did the same. I saw two guys I'd never seen together standing too close. My stomach dropped. "Down!" the tower barked. The siren screamed. I hit the dirt. The ground was a skillet. The red beam walked over my shoulder. Someone 2 bodies away didn't drop fast enough. "Down!" The tower snapped again. He went down hard. Then the clank, metal on fence, and a shape moving where no shape should. The beam found him. Another shape broke left. A third moved right. The kind of triangle that means trouble. I could hear breathing, mine and everyone else's, and the soft click of a safety shifting above us. Here is the part you want to tell fast, but I can't because in my head it was slow. So slow I could count the beats. The first shape lunged toward the pull-up bars. The second shape cut toward the track. The third stopped dead, like he remembered a lesson too late. The tower beam bounced between them like a finger, saying, "No, no, no." A CO near the weight pile started to move. He said words I couldn't hear. The shapes didn't care. Something flashed. I won't say what, because that's not the point and it's not for this story. And the yard went from silence to the loudest quiet I've ever lived through. There are 2 kinds of loud. One fills your ears. The other fills your bones. This was the second kind. "Face down," the tower shouted. The beam locked. The siren cut. For a second, I thought it was over. It wasn't. The gate at the far end slid open 3 feet. Not all the way, just enough to make a mistake possible. A runner bolted for the gap, like his life was leaking out, and he had to catch it. The beam chased him. The CO near the tables lifted his hand, palm flat, the way you tell a dog to sit. The runner didn't sit. And that was a moment, right there, where I had to decide if I would stay part of the ground or become part of the air. If I twitched, even by accident, I could become the center of someone else's story. If I didn't move, I might watch something I never want to see again. The heat pressed into my cheek. My heartbeat climbed into my throat. A voice beside me, DeAndre, didn't whisper, didn't shout. He said 5 words, slow and even, like he'd practiced them for this exact second. "Alex, do not be next." I closed my eyes. Footsteps pounded. A shadow crossed my back. The red beam sprayed across the dirt, like a laser river. The gate screeched as if it wanted to be anywhere but here. And then, the tower fired a warning round into the dirt, and the whole yard jumped like one animal. The runner stumbled. The gap at the gate started closing. A CO's radio screamed for backup. Somewhere behind me, someone said a prayer that was only a sound. My mouth was dry enough to crack. The red beam snapped back to the pull-up bars, where the first 2 shapes had stopped pretending this wasn't happening. One of them made the smallest motion, a motion that would change 3 lives, maybe more. That motion is where I'll stop this part, because what came next is why I changed how I lived, how I walked, how I breathed. It's why I'm here and not a box in a records room. It's the moment Arizona taught me its cruel math, and I decided I would count a different way. But I didn't know that yet. All I knew was the dirt in my mouth, the heat on my neck, DeAndre's voice in my ear, and a loud, heavy quiet before everything breaks.